Hey guys, and welcome to OpenBullet. If you're completely new to OpenBullet 2, this video will teach you everything you need to know to get started. We'll cover what OpenBullet 2 is, how websites communicate using requests, what headers and cookies are, what response codes mean, and finally, how to build your first config step by step. Even if you've never done anything like this before, you'll be able to follow along. Let's begin. So first of all, what is OpenBullet 2? OpenBullet 2 is a tool that allows you to automate web requests. Normally, when you log into a website, your browser sends requests to the server behind the scenes. OpenBullet 2 allows you to recreate those requests automatically. Instead of manually interacting with the website, OpenBullet follows instructions called configs. A config is simply a sequence of blocks that tell OpenBullet 2 what to send, what to look for, and what to do next. Think of OpenBullet like a programmable web browser that you control. Before using OpenBullet, you need to understand one of the most important concepts in web communication: requests. Every single action you perform on a website involves sending a request from your browser to the server. So we're going to see that in LibreWolf right here. I'm going to open it and I'm going to press F12 to open developer settings. And we're at a network tab. And we're going to make sure persistent logs are on. Now we're going to go to the website we're going to test on. I'm going to press enter. So right here, you can see all the requests your browser is making. Every line here is a request being sent to the server. There are two main types of requests you need to understand: GET and POST requests. The GET request is used to receive information from the server. For example, when I refresh this page, my browser sends a GET request asking the server for the login page. The POST request is different. A POST request is used to send data to the server. For example, I'm going to put in some login information here. So I'm putting OpenBullet@gmail.com. I'm putting password 123. And I'm going to hit login. Then you'll see a POST request coming up. Here, a POST request. So you can see in the request the email and password I put in. And here's the response: incorrect email or password. Alright, so we're going to move on to headers. So headers is right here in this tab. And we're going to look at the request headers. So when a request is sent, it also includes something called headers. Headers provide additional information about the request. Right here you can see various headers. For example, the user agent header, it tells the server what browser is making the request. Other headers can tell the server what type of data is being sent, what content types are accepted, and how the server should respond. Headers help the server understand the context of the requests. When using OpenBullet, we include headers so the request looks like it's coming from a real browser. Another important concept is cookies. Cookies are small pieces of data stored by a browser. Websites use cookies to remember information about your session. For example, after logging in, the server sends a cookie to your browser that confirms you're authenticated. Your browser then sends a cookie with future requests. This allows the website to remember that you're logged in. OpenBullet can store and reuse cookies exactly like a normal browser. So our website right here does not issue any kind of cookies, but in later videos, we will use a website that will issue cookies. So now we're going to talk about request codes. Every request receives a response code from the server. This response includes something called status code. Status codes tell you what happened from the request. For example, the most common ones you'll see in OpenBullet 2 is 200, which means the request was successful. 401, which means it is unauthorized. 403 means forbidden. 404 means not found. And for bad login on this page, it's 400 bad requests. So 200 code you'll usually see on the left side right here. This means the request is successful, so we got the whole website shown to us. So now that we got the basics down, we can finally make a config in OpenBullet 2. So if you don't have OpenBullet 2 installed already, just search up OpenBullet 2 on any search engine and it should show you the GitHub. Now usually I want to really download from here in the GitHub. Instead go here to the guide And I would choose the native client, choose the web client if you want. The reason why I would choose this page is because it gives you the dependencies, which you need right here, the .NET desktop runtime. Without this, OpenBullet 2 will not work. And then you download this one, and that's how you install it. So now you can go to OpenBullet 2. Then let me full screen this. Let's go to the config section and let's create a new config. So you can name this anything. Let's say subscribe. Author name, that can be your name right there. Let's put it in. Alright, so now we're gonna do a web request block. So we're gonna go to requests, HTTP. Alright, so we got the website here. It looks like I said, we didn't have any cookies, so we can just straight up use the login URL. So we're gonna put in OpenBullet at gmail.com. We're gonna start our login. We're just gonna put anything in to get the response. And here we go. So we're gonna right click. We're gonna copy the URL. And we're gonna paste it in here. And we're gonna change this to post. So now, the reason why I recommend LibreWeb is because it's easy to copy the headers. So what you want to paste in OpenBullet is the request headers. So you can put raw, Control A, Control C. And I usually like to edit these in Notepad++. Because it's much easier. So I'm gonna paste it here. And there's some things we don't need to put in here, like this one is CTST. I usually delete that. And up here. So host should be your first line. And everything looks good here. So I'm gonna go to OpenBullet 2, custom headers, paste it in here. Now for the content, we're gonna go back to here and we'll go to the request tab and go to raw again. Control A, do it down here. So now for the email, username, or whatever you're trying to put in, just put this input.user. That's how OpenBullet 2 will interpret the inputs. Input.pass. Now we're gonna put it in OpenBullet 2's request box here. So now make sure you copy the content type to below here as well. Alright, so we got everything down. So now we can use the debugger right here. Make sure you choose credentials. And you can put pretty much anything you want here now. So we can put in OpenBullet at gmail.com. And we could put in what we did before. Password 123. And now it should show up in the website when we press start. So we press start. And it shows us incorrect email password. That's the same thing we see in the response headers right here. So our request is working. You see, we set the exact headers right here. And whatever we put inside this box right here came out to here. An actual request. So you'll see it right here. I'll just put in a lot of 3s. And you'll see it in this log right here. As you can see it here. Alright, so we got the login block done. So now we can add a key check. So key check is basically telling OpenBullet whether the login will be a success or fail. So we can add a key change right here and we can put a fail. And the response code is 500. I think I messed up the headers, hold on. So we're going to delete this one, the content link. That's messing up thing. And we're going to put Okay, response we get 400. Okay. So the basics of this thing is string. String means any kind of text. So when it says data.source, it reads this one right here. Everything received, then the received payload box here. So we're gonna put incorrect email or password in this box. And now when we do it, it should say fail. The key check, it matched the key of the string we put in. But an easier way to do this, if the website allows it, because sometimes website will give 200 no matter what, but this website doesn't, so we're gonna put the integer, you read the integer key here, and the response code equals to 400. So whenever the response code is 400, which means a bad request, it will return as fail. And this can be used on any kind of site if you don't have a valid login yet. So we do the same thing, but on a success key. So now, like I said, there's a successful response code is 200, so we're gonna use that. And ban if no match. This means that if it doesn't match either of these keys, it will just return the ban. It'll ban the property and try to request again. So you gotta make sure that you always send up your key checks. Right. So let's see what else needs to be done. Alright, everything's good. So I have a correct login for this because you can actually register it on this account and you can test it. So the correct password on here is subscribe 1 2 3. There we go, log into the page. There we go, login successful. You need to see here, the login was successful, and we got 200 response code. So now we're gonna do the same thing on OpenBullet. We're gonna put in the correct password. I'm gonna start the debug. And there we go, we got the 200 response code success. And we got a token right here. So usually websites will use this token to track you instead of cookies. That's usually the default way. So now we can add another string here, and if it contains token, then it will be success. By the way, these ones up here, mode, or and, or means, like, they will go from top to bottom and check if that matches. So whichever matches first, it will mark it as success. So for example, if the response code is 200, they will ignore this one. Everything below it, and it will mark it as success. And means it will make sure that everything in this box matches. So if the response code is equal to 200 and the source contains token, it will mark it as success. If anything's different about here, it will just mark it as it will not be registered and will just go to ban. So for example, I'm gonna misspell token and I'll return ban. You see here, even though it was successful, it was banned. So it's very important to keep an eye on the key checks. So right now, I know that successful login will be 200 and it will say token in the response code. So the success right here. Alright, so we got a very, very basic config done. This config will pretty much just give you hits on successful logins. But what if you want a config that only does success when, let's say, an account has a certain amount of balance, or you want to capture whatever the account has? So we can do that. All right. So let's go to, well, so once you find a working account on the website you want, sometimes after you log in, it will be in the response code, but nothing here is what we need. So let's look on the other request after we log in successfully. So in this request, It's on the website and it says get all products. So this one tells us our user ID, product names, product total orders. There's nothing really about balance here. This just fetches the products, I guess. No product in cart. Okay, so we can do a cart checker for this, a cart capture. So what is this number right here? 6961C. Let's see if that pops up anywhere. Is it this one? No. Is it the user ID here? Oh, yep, it is right here. So now we got the user ID, we capture it in the parse block. So let's capture the token and the parse and the user ID. So for tokens, I usually name it TK. And for a parse block, parsing means you're going to parse a string of text. So we want to parse this one between the quotes. So you can use left or right and these other ones. You here like to use JSON, but since this is beginner guide, we'll just use left or right. So let's go token. This means it will capture everything in between the end of this and the beginning of this rate. So it closes with the quote and the comma. So now it should capture the token. There we go. We got the token and the parse value named TK. Now let's parse the user ID. And let's name this user ID. You can also rename the blocks, so you know which ones they are, just to keep organized. Alright, now we should get both of these. Very good. Okay, so now we should get all the carts products right here. So let's copy this URL. And let's make another request block. Alright, so now that this contains our user ID, but every user ID on the website is going to be different. So we want to use the parsed value we got. So we're going to change this to variable mode. And to use the user ID we parsed, which is right here, we're going to copy this and put it inside here, just like the way you put input user and paths. And now let's go to request headers. Let's copy the whole thing. Let's see what may change. So let's see, we don't really need this thing. Or let's leave it there. Delete it. Delete this up here. Alright, so authorization, this is our TK right here. This is our token. So let's change this to word wrap. And let's change this to our TK right here. TK. And let's remove this one because Bullet 2 doesn't support that. And now since we're using a parse variable, we gotta change this one again to variable mode. So now this should work. Let's run the debugger again. There we go. So you can see we used our user ID right here from the variable, and our TK was also successfully parsed here. All right, so no product in cart. So let's rename this check cart. And let's do another key check. So like I said, we're checking the cart. If there's anything in the cart, it will be success. So now we don't want to put any fail blocks in here, otherwise it will stop the bot. So let's do custom and make sure, since we're already successfully logged in, we don't need to ban anything. Alright, so custom, let's put, if the source says no product in cart, mark it as custom. Okay, now since we don't have an account with something in the cart, let's do does not contain no product in cart. So what this means is that the source says no product in cart, then return it as custom. And then success, it will mark it as a hit when it doesn't say this right here. So just in case something's in the cart, then we'll mark it as success. So let's run it again and it should become custom. There we go. So customs, you can usually use these for accounts that have two-factor authentication, or you don't have subscription, depending on your target. All right, let's put something in our cart in this web page. So let's put in the Adidas. We add it to our cart. So let's run the debugger again. It will log into our account and check the cart again. So this time let's just say success. Oh, no product in cart. Are we sure about that? Let's see. Let me refresh this. Yeah, I did not add a cart. What the heck? Let's just add all three. Let's see what happens. Let's refresh the page. Does it erase that cart? Nope. Okay, very good. So now it should be a success with you. What? Yeah, this website is bugged. Oh well. Alright, let's check the orders. No orders? Maybe we can do one with orders. We can change it to orders since the cart is bugged. So let's go to home and let's just buy these. Check out. Credit card. This is just a dummy account, so you can put anything you want. There we go. Place order. Thank you for the order. Alright, let's parse the orders now. Let's do this instead, since this might work actually. So where are the orders at? This looks like the orders. So let's see. Let's copy the URL here. Let's be the NFT user ID again. And everything's the same, I think. Okay. Let's disable this keycheck for now. Let's see what we can see here. Alright, so we got the orders. Now let's try to see what an account with no orders has. So let's delete all of these again. Alright, so message, no orders. Let's go over here. No orders, and then let's do one with that says no orders. So now let's reorder again. Let's just order the Adidas. Check out some dummy numbers. Alright, now it should be a success. So if it says no orders, then it'll be custom, and if it's different than no orders, then it should be success. There we go. Now we finally have a working one. So now this is the basic config, not a really simple one, but a basic one. This basically lets you know if an account has orders or no orders. So now what if you want to capture the orders? So now we're going to copy this whole thing, and we're going to go to a useful website called JSON Finder. Alright, JSON Pathfinder, and you're basically going to paste it in here. So now you can see everything here. The orders are here. So what do we want to capture here? We're going to capture maybe the product name. So we're going to copy everything after the period, the X period. And we're going to, most important, after you do that, you're going to put JSON, and you're going to do that. So now we're going to name our variable products. We're going to mark it as capture. So now it should capture the Adidas. Let's go to the variables, and there it is. Products. Adidas original. So what if a account has multiple orders? So you want to capture every product name that the account ordered. So let's do an account right now. Let's go to home. Let's order the rest of these. Let's order. Now we ordered everything here, and let's try to open OpenBullet. Let's see it updates. Boom, right here. Everything is in here. Let's go back to the JSON Finder website. So now it says there's 3 orders. So maybe we'll capture that too. So let's do another parse block. Let's move up to the top, and let's put in count. Let's put in total orders. Mark it as capture. And let's rename our blocks. So now it should tell us the orders. Yep, total orders, 3 products. So now it changed back to the Zara code because that's first in, I guess it goes in alphabetical, something like that. Anyways, now we want to capture all the product names. So you could just go like this, copy, go like this, copy, but there's a better way to do this. So basically, we copy this one, and it's on it right here. And you want to copy every kind of order name, the product name. So you change it to a star. okay? And you put recursive. So now every kind of all the product names should be captured. And it captures it to a list. So you see here, everything is captured to a list. All right, so what else do we need to capture? Let's see. We capture the prices. You can do the same thing with the recursive parse block with the prices, the order date, and the order IDs. So let's do that right now. Let's go back to the JSON Finder, the order date. Just paste in the parse block, JSON, and then put the star. Order date. I don't think we need to capture the whole thing, right? Unless they're all different. So let's do an advanced config then. We can move on to advanced. Let's see, order date. So every time you do a recursive parse, it will change into a list. Now in OpenBullet 2, there's a lot of list functions, but let's see if this works correctly first. Alright, so if we do that, then it'll just keep repeating the same dates. We don't want that, okay? So we can just we can search up list. And, oh, it's not here. Let's see, there's a remove duplicate right here. Remove duplicates from a list. So let's choose our list from here. It's order date. You can't have two variables the same, actually you can, never mind. Let's see, order date. Capture, let's see if this comes up correctly. Okay, it does, it's very good. So now we got the order date. Let's see what else can we extract. The order price. Do everything here, order price. Let's read the catch on there since this is overriding already. And let's do final thing is country. So let me give a symbol like that. So it'll be the same on all the orders. Alright, let's see how this looks. There we go. Now we can combine this one and then this one. So in our catcher, I'll say 0 code the price right here. So let's do that. This is moving into more advanced, but hopefully you'll get to learn by watching this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove capture from the products and by order price. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine the lists. So the function for that is zip lists. So we're going to choose a list 1. This is products. And our second list is order price. So right here's to be the format. Capture. We're renaming this to product. And bring it to products capture. And see how this looks. There we go. It tells you the product name, but they don't look good. So let's do here. There we go. We got the product name and the price associated with it. And here's how it looked in the capture. This is the log. And let's say our config. So now we got a completed config right here. So the gist of it is it will log in with the request and it will check the request if the login is successful or not. If it's successful, it will parse the TK, the user ID, and it'll use that information to do a request to check the account's orders. And if the account has no orders, it'll go to custom. If it does have orders, it'll continue with the success. We uncheck ban if no match here because we already logged into the account, and if for some reason there's no conditions that matches D2, it will go to a none status. Okay, and that is useful because you can see why it is none. You can check it in here again and see if it's none, and then you can see what the response is and you can add it to his key check. So then when it's successful, it will grab the total orders, it will grab the products, everything that we added here with the capture. So now we complete the config. Make sure you save it, and you can edit the config's info right here. So what is the website again? Let's rename it here, Virtual Academy, and you can set the config icon as well. So if you want to do that, let's go to, let's just do a simple search for this and see what the images look like. Let's try this one, the logo. And you can put links in here too as well, like this, and we'll use it. There you go. README, you can put anything you want here, and it will display when someone reads the configs from the config list. So let's just do a simple one of that. Wally code, we'll get into that later on. Settings. So you can adjust the settings. These are the default settings that will be set when you load the config and run it. So the suggested amount of bots, let's just put a good starting port is 50. You don't want to set too much or too little. You just want to find a sweet spot. So 50. You can see how the config runs, and if it's high CPM, then you can just leave it here. So maximum CPM, nothing. Use proxies. Most configs will require proxies. Band liberation, this means that if there's like 100 bands, if a line from your word list keeps getting banned and it passes 100, then it will send that specific line to check. So you can debug it further and see what's wrong. So usually you just use this as default. And use these, except this one you put credentials, because default or these other ones, they won't work with the input.user or input.patch. And the rest of these you can leave. So after you edit any of these settings, you gotta save again. So now when we load to our configs, there's a text that shows up, and it shows our logo, and it shows all the settings we did. So now we completed the config. Let's run it into the jobs. So now we want to use the config. So the first thing you have to do is make sure you have word lists and proxies. So for word lists, I'm just going to create one. So let's just do some dummy ones. And let's put in a correct one. And let's put in some wrong ones again. Oh, I need to do that. Wait. And let's add one more line. And let's save that to documents, and let's name it word list. Now we're going to add the word list here. Then make sure you choose credentials in your word list, otherwise the word list will not work when you run the config. So let's go to word list and accept. There we go. So we have 5 lines. Wait, I think it just, hold on. It changed again. Let's see. There we go. It's correct now. Proxies. You usually want to use residential proxies, but there are free ones, but don't add the free ones in this one. Don't do it. You want to add it in the jobs, okay? So let's add our config here finally. And let's add our word list. And let's delete this. And let's choose remote. So the reason why I do this is because we're going to use free proxies. So we're going to go to proxy scrape. We're going to choose the API. And we're going to use this link right here. So this is a free proxies link we can use in OpenBullet. So let's do that right there. And let's do it again. This time we're going to change this to SOTS 4. And we're going to change this to SOTS 5. This will be our free proxy list. Now let's see what the Alright. So now we've got a config here, let's start it. Should give us 1 hit is from this one right here. That's correct. You can see here it's checking the box, success. And the rest of these should be fails. The reason why you should use residential proxies is because it will be much faster. Free proxies, they usually die fast, so your CPU would be slow. So now we got a successful hit, and it gives us a capture right here. You see it gives us a total orders, the products with the price, and the order date, and the country. And there we go. That's how you create your config, you run it. And for the next videos, I will go into some more advanced topics. Alright, thanks for watching guys, and if you need any help, just join the Telegram chat and I'll answer all the questions you want answered. Alright, see you next time.